Cool. So welcome everyone. Delighted that you can all attend this afternoon. I'm conscious that you're probably on your lunch break, so I'm going to try and keep this to about 20 or so minutes, and then Michael will jump in with some questions. So as Michael said, I've taken over the reins of a program director from Professor Niamh Brennan. So I'm taking the baton and not necessarily looking to replace those shoes, which is probably not possible. I mean, interestingly enough, Professor Brennan is going to continue to lecture on the programme, and we're very, very grateful for that. So she will be continuing to deliver the module on the role and responsibilities of the Audit Committee. So a little bit more on that later. So to just introduce myself, and also the other very important person in this diploma is my wonderful colleague, Siobhan Lane Walsh, who is Programme Manager. And the diploma in corporate governance, because it runs over an academic year, the participants' relationship with Siobhan is a very, very important one. She is, like I will be, ever present on your journey on the diploma in corporate governance, there to support you with materials, support you with the ongoing balance of the diploma with your professional and personal lives throughout the academic year. So Siobhan will be a face that you will get to know very much and appreciate over the course of the academic year. So I won't go over old ground. Michael has already talked about UCD Smurfit development and the status that the UCD executive development, Smurfit executive development holds within Ireland and indeed globally. And just a reminder in terms of our 2024 rankings, just our positioning within this field. And obviously we're very proud that the Diploma in Corporate Governance and the feedback that we get on this programme continuously every year positions ourselves very much at the upper echelon of rankings globally, and of course top of those rankings in Ireland. So in terms of the Diploma in Corporate Governance, who is it for? Well, really, it's for everyone who is involved in the governance within their organisation. And one of the core tenets of this diploma, one of the core philosophies of this programme, which I'll come to slightly later, is that corporate governance is a system. It isn't just about the board of directors, it's about the entire system, the entire ecosystem that surrounds an organisation and operates internally within an organisation. So in that regard, when we think about the Diploma in Corporate Governance, obviously it is for company directors, both executive and non-executive, but also for prospective company directors who are really keen to expand their governance knowledge or who've been earmarked within their organisation to be executives. But 99% of corporate governance operates outside the boardroom. And so we're very keen for senior executives who interact with the board and who execute strategy on a day-to-day basis or manage risk on a day-to-day basis within the organisation, part of the internal system of governance, to attend the programme. And anyone who is being earmarked or progressing towards those key positions of exco and or board positions. We've also have had great, it's been a very attractive programme for people operating in public sector bodies, both within the organisations or indeed those operating at department levels or other within who engage, with public sector bodies on an ongoing basis in a governance role, or indeed oversee the governance within those entities. And also very attractive to individuals who are expecting to hold non-exec director board positions in the future. So I suppose to display a few myths, it's not just for people who hold director positions, neither is it purely for independent non-execs or people who want to be non-exec directors. In fact, it really, the class typically year on year represents the entire ecosystem. So what you can expect in the classroom is that you'll be surrounded by participant colleagues who come from different elements of that system. So typically in a class, we will have non-executive director representation, we will have executive director representation, we will have exco representation, and very often we will have investor representation, investors in companies, and we will also have department representation, that is individuals who are overseeing state bodies and so on. You will enjoy as a participant representation from across sectors, financial services, private sector, across different industries, the charitable sector, the state body sector. So you can experience that wealth of experience within the classroom. And that is really a hallmark of the Diploma in Corporate Governance in terms of the participant population. So I've mentioned in the context of the philosophy of the program, I've mentioned that embedded in the philosophy is the concept of the governance as a system, and the most prominent definition of corporate governance is the system by which companies are directed and controlled. And when you approach the diploma on corporate governance, and when you're embedded in it, you will see that play out in the diploma, in the way it's structured, in the way the modules are linked into each other, and the breadth and depth of the diploma, covering all aspects, not only from the not only in the context of the role of the board, but also in all of the interactions with the board. And we'll see that when we come to outline the structure of the program. I like to think of the program as being what I call pro-academic. So this is Smurfit Business School. This is Smurfit Executive Education. We have academic rigor in our DNA, and that is, something that we're very, very proud of. But this is exec development, and so the practical application and the practical resonance of the program is absolutely front and center. So what you benefit from as a participant on the program is that wonderful combination of academic rigor and practical relevance. So from an academic rigor, in exec development, we won't be bombarding you with, academic journals that are that don't have any practical relevance. We will be focusing, and we will be very agile in identifying the most current thinking in the space and presenting it to you as part of your reading. Okay, I've mentioned the importance of the peer group, and peer-to-peer learning engagement is a really important tenet of this program. We leverage the expertise in the room, and I guess the fact that this program is a face-to-face program, and that is something that we have reflected on deeply, particularly in the context of our experience during COVID, when we were reverted onto online. And we are of firm belief that the best engagement, discussion, the best peer-to-peer learning happens in a face-to-face forum. So we haven't abandoned that. It is core to our DNA. It's core to the philosophy of the program. And what faculty do in that regard is, within that forum, you're taking cues in the classroom, you're taking cues from people who want to contribute, encouraging that contribution, and contextualizing all of the material in the day-to-day experiences of participants. Leveraging again that expertise across those organizational contexts. So it's a really, really important part of the DNA of the program. This is a program that really brings you on a journey. And I think one of the benefits of a program that runs across an academic year is the capacity of participants to go on that journey with us. As program director, I'll be taking on that journey, bringing you from the very first module all the way through, linking up the modules for you, supporting the academic faculty, and really getting you to think and develop, going to the next core tenet, the conceptual frameworks of understanding. So rather than actually, you being contained within 1 or 2 days or short spurt blocks, you are empowered to go on this journey and almost build up your learning and those conceptual frameworks of learning as you progress. So very much bringing you on a journey, and that's very much a hallmark of it. But included in that journey is the time for expansive discussion and reflection. And to me, this is one of the most powerful aspects of committing to an academic term, because we as faculty can give you the space to discuss, to engage with your peers, to reflect, to return to issues, to bring the faculty back to issues, to bring your peers back to issues. You're given that expansive opportunity to do so. And again, another hallmark and another benefit of committing to a program that runs over an academic year. Okay, I think that if I'm going to reflect on my engagement with faculty, because I'm teaching on the program since 2007. So this will be my 18th year as a faculty member, my first year as program director, of course. But I always, as faculty, always encourage participants to start looking at the world in a different way. Challenging the prevailing wisdom externally, challenging the prevailing wisdom within your organization. And you may revert to that prevailing wisdom, but actually just encouraging to see the world in a different way. And I guess that leads back to that academic rigor, because the focus is never on saying, this is the blueprint, this is the way we do things. Instead, we present opinions, perspectives, and a variety of them, and we encourage that variety of opinion. Again, leveraging that experience in the room, and encourage you to maybe think and see the world a little bit differently. We are very proud of our expert faculty on this programme. Faculty that have stayed with us over the last number of years, and the expert faculty, they are, as the next point talks about, they focus on being agile in terms of the content. So the content within each module evolves every single year. It never stands still. The readings of which the expert faculty pivot and design their programs evolves every year. So that's something that's guaranteed. When you look at the faculty we have 10 faculty members, 7 of whom are academically qualified, that have doctorates and significant experience in the academic world. But all of the faculty have practical experience too. Many of the faculty are directors themselves, or they consult with organizations on an ongoing basis. Okay, so these are the core, I guess, USPs of the Diploma in Corporate Governance, and really are kind of go to the core of its success as a diploma. So in terms of the key benefits, we hope that you'll have your light bulb moment on many occasions during the Diploma in Corporate Governance. But really what we want for you as you go through is we want you to have a very solid understanding of the legal and regulatory architecture within which companies operate. And this is not just, in relation to the Companies Act and the duties of directors, but as you'll see later on, we will pivot into corporate governance guidelines and so on, whether it's, for listed companies, large privates, whether it's for state bodies, the charitable organizations. You'll get insights into all of that and their practical application. But also we will explore the legal and regulatory framework, for example, in our new module on information technology governance. So the architecture within which organizations have to operate will be presented. In the context of ESG, we will also explore the policy architecture and the regulations that have fallen out of those policies. They will also be explored in class. The concept of corporate governance as a system, with all of its moving parts and all of the parties within that system, will be known in depth when you leave the programme. You will be empowered with the technical competence, but mostly importantly, the mindset to execute key governance roles and influence the design and execution of governance within your organisation. Okay, I think one of the things I've mentioned about looking at the world in a different way, we are passionate to empower you to critically evaluate developments in policies and legislation that impact your organisations, and allow you to contribute to the discourse. And that's the empowering piece, allowing you and enabling you to contribute to the discourse. And the final one there is to enable you to understand the behaviours required from well-functioning boards and the expectations and requirements of individual directors. I've been teaching behavioural aspects of boards and the Diploma in Corporate Governance since 2007, demonstrating that we were very much ahead of the curve when it came to introducing aspects of the psychology of the boardroom into any executive education programme, and that remains to be the case. It's still a prominent programme or module, within the diploma. So this will give you a little bit of a snapshot of the way the Diploma in Corporate Governance is structured. So on the left-hand side, second column in, it's designed over 4 overarching modules, and each of those modules has 3 component submodules, each with their own lecturer. So I won't go through each and every one. You can take a look at the brochure, which is available on the Smurfit Executive Development website. If you search for the Diploma in Corporate Governance, and you'll find it. So you'll see on the component submodules, we have 12, and the lectures and the dates on which they will be delivered are presented for you. Lectures are delivered between 4:30 and 7:30 every Monday and Tuesday across an academic year. 11 weeks in the first semester and 12 weeks in the second semester. So I'll come back to that in a second in terms of the timelines. But as you can see, as you'll be able to see from the component submodules, you'll see the absolute breadth of topics that will be covered. And in the first opening module there, when we talk about corporate governance paradigms and practice, I deliver that first submodule. And in that module, really, we set you up for the entire program, set you up for success because we incorporate and we present. I present in that first module the dominant theoretical perspectives on corporate governance, and explain to you how they manifest in the day-to-day practical realities of governance. So as you move along, there's nothing linear about corporate governance, but we try to bring you on that journey that I mentioned, and you're brought into the regulatory frameworks, the legal duties and responsibilities. As we move into module 2 and the 3 component modules in module 2, we're moving very much into the practice arena, the role of the board in practice. And submodule 4 there on the role and responsibilities of boards in practice has a significant sustainability and ESG element to that, recognising that the external environment has changed considerably from a policy, investor expectation, stakeholder expectation point of view, and that's very much reflected in that submodule. We pivot then into the consideration of, in the first instance in submodule 5, how the board influences culture within the organisation. And then in part 2 of that module, that whole psychology of the boardroom, board composition, behavioural aspects of boards, and so on. Submodule 6 I'm going to call out there because that's a brand new module for this particular, for the academic year, 24-25. And the information technology governance module is going to explore the ever-evolving regulatory architecture that companies need to operate in. It's also going to explore the core dimensions of technology governance, how it should be ubiquitous across the organization, and integrated within the business of the organization. So it will look at cases and different aspects of technology governance, including technology debt, and how you generate, how you explore and consider the return on technology investments and so on. So a brand new module led by Dr. Joe Peppard, who incidentally is the academic director within Smurfit Executive Development. So delighted that Joe, with his absolute pedigree in this space, is going to be delivering this technology governance module. So you'll pivot then into semester 2, which is the spring trimester. And you'll see again, we're moving into two new modules. The first module is all about the system of internal controls, the role and responsibilities of the audit committee, risk management, the risk committee, and so on. And then module 4, which is module 2 of that semester, module 4 across the diploma, explores aspects related to strategy, including the relationship between exec remuneration and incentives, the role of the remuneration committee, how that fits into company purpose, strategic execution, and so on. And an entire module devoted to business strategy, which will pick up the ESG story again, and a whole module devoted to improving business performance. So you can see from this particular table just how comprehensive the program, the Diploma on Corporate Governance actually is. The diagram below, which is taken directly from the brochure, presents the linkages between the submodules and again demonstrates that depth and breadth. So if you see, what I've tried to do here within the brochure is categorize the various submodules across all of the areas that you will cover. So from theory, policy and practice of corporate governance to the legal and regulatory and best practice frameworks and architectures, sustainability, ESG, investor and stakeholder expectations, technology governance, as I mentioned, the board and external accountability. External accountability could be to the department that you're under, whose agency you operate. It could be external investors, whether they're private equity, venture capital, or if you're a listed company, the capital markets. So that kind of external accountability focus, and also a strong dimension on issues of culture, ethics, and board effectiveness. To the right of this diagram, you'll see the context of the working of the board as the system of governance and internal accountability. All modules cover this, but we have a significant, throughout the programme, you will see a focus on the work of the various committees and how they engage with each other and how they support the operation and workings of the board. So again, this diagram really reflects, again, the breadth of the programme. So in terms of the programme timelines, because I think you're all very, very, very busy people, and this is probably the nuts and bolts of what you're probably keen to understand about the programme. I think first and foremost, most importantly, as I mentioned, is that Class attendance over the academic year is Monday and Tuesday evening from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. And just so that you know, evening meal is provided at 6 o'clock every evening. So the lectures will run up to 6, from 4:30 to 6. You will stop for an evening meal, come back at 6:30 and run to 7:30. That evening meal is not only a fantastic uh, perk of the evening, but also gives a great opportunity for participants to mingle and engage with each other, and indeed the faculty. So one thing that you should know about Smurfit Executive Development, I mean, you're going to be present on an absolutely not only a beautiful campus, but a highly functional one, because there were meeting rooms available for participants to meet with each other before and after class, but also if necessary, if you need to use an office before class to do some work, you're absolutely able to do that. So there are wonderful facilities available in Smurfit Business School and in the Executive Development Department, open to participants. So the programme itself will kick off, lectures will kick off on the 9th of September for the next academic year, but there will be a welcome reception on the 5th of September where you'll get to meet your colleagues, get to meet with faculty, get to meet myself and Siobhan face to face if you haven't already done that. Over Zoom or so on, and when you're making your decision to join the programme. And you'll be brought through, again, just kind of a high level overview of how the things will pan out over the year and so on. And a very good opportunity on the 5th of September to familiarise yourself with the environment and to meet colleagues. Classes will kick off on the 9th of September. And they will run then ultimately till the 26th of November, but with a midterm break in between. And people often can get frightened of the academic year and think, well, that's a huge commitment. But actually, you know, I always encourage students to break it down into the trimesters, and it is 11 weeks of classes, 11 weeks in the first trimester and 12 weeks in the second trimester, with that wonderful midterm break in the middle. So the trimester will finish on the 26th of November. And then I guess, which is something that's always important to participants, is that there is exams on the 9th of December. So as I mentioned early on, the programme is divided into 4 modules, and each module has 3 submodules. So on the 9th of December, for trimester 1, you'll sit 2 papers. The first paper will cover module 1 and 3 submodules within that, and the second paper will cover module 2 and the 3 submodules within that. The exam, there are 2 hours each in length, so it'll be 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon on the 9th of December, and they are open book exam. And they are open book exam because that reflects the reality of the executives' lives. You know, nobody in work is subject to memory tests, so that means when you're preparing for the exam, you're not looking to to learn things off by heart or so on. Really, the focus is on that journey, on being able to use your notes to go to pick up key themes that then will emerge in the exams. And the exams very much reflect the learning outcomes of all of the submodules that you will have covered in the trimester. And the one thing I will say to you as well about the exams is that faculty aren't there to catch you out. The exams are structured, and the exam questions are structured really with exec education in mind, with the lived experience of participants in mind. And as I said, open book gives you access to the information that you need. Okay. We will return after Christmas, and as you'll see, you'll have a good 6 or 7 weeks off. You'll be well done by Christmas. You get a nice run into Christmas, and you'll return on the 16th of January. There will be a class dinner with a guest speaker in Smurfit, and then the classes will resume on the 20th of January and will follow the same format. You will have 2 overarching modules, each with 3 underlying sub-modules, and the classes will run until the 12th of May. Until the 15th of April. I will let you know that actually, while it's not reflected on the diagram, you will have the week beginning the 17th of March off, which is actually Paddy's Day or Paddy's Week, because it always seems to take more than a day, and you'll have that week off in the middle there as well. But again, you'll see that you'll have almost a month between your last lecture in April on the 15th and your exam in May, which on the 12th of May, which will follow the exact same format as the trimester 1 exam. Okay. And then, all going well, and I see no reason why it wouldn't, you will join us in December 2025 for the wonderful occasion that is the graduation in O'Reilly Hall, where you and your family are invited to attend the graduation. And the one thing that I will say, in addition to the exams, is that in each trimester you will have to complete 3 continuous assessments that are group assignments, and those group assignments typically will be about 5 to 7 pages of output that will be prepared on a group basis. So a bit of work in it, but not a significant amount of work. So overall, you will complete 6 continuous assessments over the course of the year. So that was the whistle-stop tour of the diploma. Just to remind you of who I am, that's my email address. You have met Michael, who is the business manager within Smurfit Executive Development. Really, really encourage you to reach out to one or either of us. As program director, I'm running the program for 18 years. Sorry, teaching on the program for 18 years. I'm taking over the reins, but there's nothing I don't know about the program and its component parts, and what it takes. Trying to combine it with your professional and personal life. So I'd be very, very delighted to discuss your own professional objectives and how the Diploma on Corporate Governance can support those objectives. So I'm going to, at this point, stop sharing, and hopefully then I can maybe take any questions that have come into the chat. So Michael, I'm going to pass over back to you to see if there's any questions coming in from the audience.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks a million, Margaret. Just a couple of questions that just came through there. Exams is always a popular question topic. And yeah, if you're from Ireland, then no matter how experienced we are, we're all probably still traumatized from the Leaving Cert. This question actually did remind me of the Leaving Cert myself. Just a question that came through. For the exams, will past papers be available when preparing for these exams?
Will indeed. Thank you for the question. They will indeed. And, I think that, we've had people in the class in my 18 years lecturing on the programme. We've had people in the class, Michael, who haven't sat an exam since they left university. So if you think of the kind of calibre and the tenure of people who come on the programme because they've got that wealth of experience, it might be 20 plus years since they sat an exam, but we're there to support you. As programme director, we're there to support you. So we will bring in a couple of things. We'll bring a past participant in who will give you a little bit of a steer on how to get through the open book exam and how to prepare effectively for the exam. But also, as programme director, I will be ensuring that all faculty will be setting everybody up for success in terms of those exams. This is not a memory test, as I said. We're not there to catch you out. To be perfectly honest, for me, the journey that you go on is nearly more important than the exam. The exam is the fact that it's, related to the fact that this is a level 9 qualification on the National Framework for Qualification, something that I hadn't mentioned, apologies. And so the exam reflects that, but it is the journey that you're going on that's most important. And from experience, as you'll go through the exam papers, the past exam papers, which you will be given, and there'll be, the way the exam will be structured will be the exam paper will have 3 questions on it, one from each submodule. So one from each submodule in each paper. And you'll have 2 questions to answer those 3 questions, all of which are compulsory. And we will give you the past papers and you'll really get a sense of the kind of questions that will come up. For the new technology governance module, I'll give you some sample papers so that you can get your head around that. The whole objective is not to catch out. The whole objective is actually, this is a wonderful culmination and the ability for participants to put down on paper the key learning outcomes from the programme.
Yeah, thanks a million, Margaret. I'm sure that alleviates many people's fears around exams. Just another quick one just came up, just particularly around the topic of technology governance. As you mentioned, that's probably the biggest change to the program. It's a whole new module that's been added in. Just one question there. Why is this being added now? And can you tell us a little bit more about the module as well?
Well, I think one of the reasons we decided to add it is that I think that technology is continuing to put such a footprint on the way organizations are run, or indeed the way the external environment is impacting organizations. So technology would always have been covered within the operational risk module, submodule on the Diploma on Corporate Governance, led by the brilliant Richard Pike. So it was always a key part of that, because obviously technology is, and the role that technology plays, creates an operational risk. But we felt that because the regulatory architecture outside externally between the Artificial Intelligence Act, Digital Services Act, DORA, for those who are working in the financial services sector, and so on, that there's been such an avalanche in relation to regulation, and also because from our engagement with participants on the programme and just research that we're doing on an ongoing basis in relation to the evolution of the programme, it was considered that this particular aspect was just becoming more of a competitive opportunity, but also a risk to organisations. So the decision was taken to actually integrate the technology governance, to pull it out of operational risk, and to leave it in to a certain extent, but to pull it out in its own right and assess the IT related risks, understanding the impact of emerging technologies on business operations, assessing issues like cyber resilience and so on, and indeed very important in the context of privacy and particularly related to the evolution of generative AI, issues concerning the ethics and legal aspects of technology. So very much was always there, Michael, but really this was just to kind of to represent the changing world within which companies are operating now.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Margaret. And maybe just one last quick question that just came through there. Just as you mentioned in your presentation, just some of the modules, you'll be working with financial reporting, auditing, risk, etc. Just what kind of experience would participants need in the area of financial reporting, auditing, and risk?
Okay. Everything about this program is not designed for the chartered accountant. So the chartered accountants, their expertise are brilliantly leveraged in the classroom. But our objective is not to make you a master of every subject, of every single area. It's to equip you with what you need to effectively oversee that system of governance. So when it comes to analysing financial statements, the wonderful Ken O'Sullivan, who has so much experience in this area, is going to actually support the non-accountants in the room, particularly to actually navigate the world of financial statement analysis and the interrogation of financial statements. So equip you what you need, rather than actually turn you into a chartered accountant or mirror that. So I cannot give you more reassurance. Ken is an expert in actually getting to the core. His ability to take very challenging technical concepts and break them down into very easy digestible chunks, he's just unparalleled. And continuously I hear, because I actually used to teach before Ken in trimester 2, we've now switched the ordering of those modules ever so slightly, but I always say to the class, please don't be worrying about that, because non-accountants always do. The interesting thing about it, though, Michael, is the accountants learn a lot, because a lot of people who qualify as accountants maybe don't stay within that particular domain. So they'll always come out thinking, wow, I still learned a lot, or whatever. But we would leverage our expertise, but really reassure people not to be worried about those technical aspects, whether it's in technology governance or indeed these aspects. What we're trying to do is help you oversee, help you direct, as distinct from being an expert in a particular domain. That's not what this is about. There are other very specialist courses for that world. That's not what this is about.
Yeah, got it. Thanks a million, Margaret. And I think that's it in terms of questions. So just thanks a million for joining us, Margaret. Very informative as always. And just as well as your expertise, I think it's very much kind of the supportive aspect of the programme that kind of comes through quite a lot as well. So thanks a million for taking the time.
No, not at all. And Michael, I cannot stress enough, first and foremost, this is an academic institution. We want you to, we want to understand your professional objectives, and we want to support those professional objectives. So I really urge people to drop me an email at margaret.cullen@ucd.ie, and I will be so pleased to have a conversation with you about your professional objectives and your professional workload, and to help you understand, how you can combine the two and get the best out of this program. So thanks everyone for joining, and I hope to see you in the class. Take care.
Yeah. Brilliant. And yeah, for everyone on the call, just to let you know, this webinar has been recorded. So I'd just be happy to share it with you for you, or if any of your colleagues might be interested as well. And the slides will also be included with that. And yeah, hopefully this is just the first step if you are looking to discuss more about corporate governance. As Margaret said, she's open to discussion, and so am I. And thanks a million for taking the time out of your lunchtime. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day at work and enjoy the evening as well. Thank you.
Brilliant.